In this video, I'll show you how I sharpen and establish a burr on one of these, a card scraper or cabinet scraper. These are really effective tools once you know how to sharpen them and use them. It's the perfect tool for taking very fine shavings. I generally use mine for 3 reasons: to remove grain tear out, to remove an old finish and get back down to the bare wood, or to get a super smooth polished surface on wood. My card scraper is the cheapest one that I could find on Amazon a couple of years ago, and I paid £3.75 for it. I'll leave a link to that in the description box below. It's okay, it's not brilliant. If you want a better one, I would recommend going for the Barco 6-inch scraper, also available on Amazon, and I'll leave a link to that below too. The cost of that one is around £6 to £8 or around $10. To prepare the card scraper for use, I use 3 things. The first is my double-sided diamond plates. Mine are 360 grit on one side and 600 on the other. If you don't have diamond plates, then you could use wet and dry paper instead. Or you could use a whetstone, but the scraper will wear down the whetstone unevenly. My diamond plates are made by Tadia. I paid £11 for mine on Amazon back in January 2016. Since then, I've recommended it a lot in some of my videos, and the price has risen to almost £50. Please don't pay that much for it. If you want to buy this particular one, I'd recommend looking on eBay, where you can buy it for around £20. I will include an Amazon link in the description box below though, because I know that Amazon prices fluctuate. The next thing that I use is a block of wood. Here I'm using a short piece of 2x2, which is roughly 40mm square. And finally, a burnisher. This is for drawing and turning a hooked burr onto the edge of the scraper to help produce better shavings. The one I use is by Narex. This is available on Amazon too for around £25, link in the description box below. Do you really need a burnisher? Possibly not. I've had reasonably good results in the past just by using either the back of a chisel or a nail punch. Some people say that you can use practically anything in the toolbox, like the shaft of a screwdriver for example. I disagree. I've not had good results using a screwdriver before. I think maybe the steel is too soft, or at least it's too soft with the screwdrivers that I own. The best thing about using a dedicated burnisher is that the shaft is made from hardened high carbon steel, so you know it's much harder than the steel in the card scraper, which is ideal for the purpose. I'd recommend trying some things that you have already, and if you don't have any luck, then it might be worth investing in a burnisher. So now I'll talk about how I sharpen my scraper. After some use, the edges of the card scraper will wear down and become slightly rounded. Imagine that this is a close-up of the profile of the scraper before it's been sharpened. The first thing I want to do is establish a nice square edge like this. I apply some water with a couple of drops of washing up liquid in it for lubrication onto the 360 grit side of my diamond plates. I place the scraper face down onto the plate, place the block of wood on top to evenly distribute the pressure across the entire edge of the scraper, and move it backwards and forwards a few times. Then I rotate it, and I do the same on all 4 edges of the scraper. At this point you should be able to see 4 nicely polished faces at the edges. If they don't look nicely polished, then go back to the diamond plates and do some more. Next I turn my diamond plate to the 600 grit side and repeat the process, polishing all 4 edges. And now, as you can see, the edges are even more polished. Then I turn my diamond plate back to the 360 grit side, and now I'll work on flattening the edges of the scraper. I use the block of wood again to ensure that the scraper is being held at a 90-degree angle to the diamond plate. I do this to both long edges until I can see that I've polished the whole edge from one end to the other. I then move on to the 600 grit side of the diamond plate to get the edges polished even more. If you wanted to take this further and polish at even higher grits, then you can do. If I owned a higher grit diamond plate, then I probably would do that too. But I find that 600 grit is high enough for the work that I do. You can also follow the same process to sharpen the short sides of your card scraper too, if you want to. Personally, I don't bother because I just don't find the short sides of the scraper to be very useful. So now I should have nice square edges on my scraper like this. The next thing I want to do is use my burnisher to draw a burr on the top edges of the scraper so it looks a bit like Batman's ears. I do this by placing the edge of the scraper onto the block of wood. I'm holding the burnisher flat to the face of the scraper but applying downward force only onto the edge of the scraper where I want to create the burr. I find that between 3 and 5 strokes on each of the 4 edges works best. Then I want to turn those burrs, or Batman's ears, over the edge to create a hook, or sad cat's ears. I put the scraper into my vise, trying to keep it as level as possible horizontally, with about 10mm showing at the top. And then I use the burnisher, starting with it horizontally on the edge, and then at a slight angle on each side to establish the hooked burr. I do this until I can feel a hooked burr with the tip of my fingers along the entire length of the edge on both sides. If I can't feel a burr, then I keep going until I can. But it should only take between 3 and 5 strokes here too. It's important not to do too many strokes though, because if you do, you can turn the burr over completely to the point where it won't be any good for making shavings. And that's the scraper ready to use. To use it, I flex the scraper using pressure from both of my thumbs at the back and push the scraper forward to take shavings. Another good trick to get into the habit of doing while using the scraper is to regularly turn it in between strokes, and that helps with the edge retention of the burr, because as you use it for scraping, the burr heats up and wears quicker. So by turning it in between strokes and using all 4 edges, you'll get more use out of it before you have to resharpen it again. That's really all there is to it. I hope you found this video useful. Please subscribe if you haven't already for more woodworking videos, and thank you for watching.